Welcome to another episode of The Profile. I'm Gary Dunn, and tonight in the hot seat I have a very special friend, very dear friend, Mr. James Morley.
Afternoon.
How are you, mate?
Oh, very well. There you go.
So,
Here we are.
here we are, on The Profile.
Finally got on the profile.
Yes.
Took me a while. We got here.
Where were you born?
England.
Where?
Oh, specifics.
Yeah.
Was born, can't remember the name of the place, Downton, just out of Salisbury, about 5 miles outside of Salisbury. Near
And-
Stonehenge.
And you came to Australia in...
1981. Just after ACDC released For Those About to Rock. That's how I remember it.
and Nottingham Forest winning the
Well, everything.
Yeah,
Nottingham Forest just
1980.
kept winning absolutely everything.
So, James, what instruments do you play?
Well, or just in general?
Just, I mean, I know the answer to the question, but our viewers may not.
Yes. I started out as a drummer, so I wasn't really a musician. Sorry, drummers.
We've got a drummer here.
Have we? Do
Yeah, producer.
you play drums? I like your earlier work. Yeah, started off with the drums, but now mainly guitar and bass and a bit of singing on the odd occasion. Only if I have to. But,
Oh, come on.
yeah. Oh, not a fan of singing, to be honest.
Really?
No.
That's all I've ever seen you do. Maybe.
Yeah, I know. I've never overly enjoyed it, but give me half a bottle of scotch, I'll sing anything.
Yeah, I know. So what was the turning point in your life, where the light bulb moment where you decided this is what you were going to do for the rest of your life?
When I realised that all the bands that I liked were just getting girls and money, it was pretty much
Pretty easy
it.
decision.
Yeah. No, I saw ACDC on the telly. I used to sit at home with folks had one of those fake leather lounge suite plasticky sort of things.
Yeah.
I used to pinch the knitting needles, and I used to watch Phil Rudd playing drums, ACDC on the telly. And I'd sit there and just copy him and all that sort of stuff, and completely ruin the lounge suite. And that was about it. Used to dress up as Angus and play a tennis racket in front of the window and mimic him and all that sort of stuff. And just fell in love with music. So.
Isn't that great that we had people that we could look up to and mimic? There seems to be less and less of those these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's not much of that anymore. There's no real sort of bands coming out now, since a long time, that you can sort of look at and say that they're going to go down in history like the Beatles or the Stones or anything like that. I mean, there's a few good bands out there. I mean, I don't mind the Foo Fighters and that sort of thing. They're a great rock and roll band, but I don't think there's anything that's going to, like ACDC did, stand the test of 50 years and still be generational. I mean, they're cross-generational. You got four generations of families getting into that music still, so.
What was the first concert you went to then?
First one I went to? I nearly went to the last concert that Bon Scott ever did at the Gaumont in Southampton.
Yeah.
But didn't make it. They actually cancelled that gig because one of the guys, I think Angus or somebody, broke a leg or something like that, and they had to reschedule, and that never happened. First actual concert I went and saw was probably the night after.
All right, the night after Gobbles. You used to stand on the side of the stage. I used to give you drink chips and you'd come up with shooters for everyone.
Trays of shooters, yeah.
James wants to get on stage.
Again.
Again. Oh, my God. So, okay, let's go to your first band, Room 101, 1983. Who was in that band?
Who was in that band? We actually started off, I remember Brad Sims was a guitarist, and his dad was the singer. They were a couple of hippie guys, great guys. They used to live at the back of the Parkerville Tavern, at a house, like literally behind it. And I met them all through the Parky Jam session, which is a Wednesday night thing where anybody could get up and play and all that sort of stuff. So we formed a little band. We had a guitarist, Shane, and we didn't have a bass player. And I remember everybody going, we've got to find a bass player. And I'm thinking, what for? This sounds great. So I was only a kid. I didn't realise that you needed a bass player. But we ended up getting one, and it was Lance Outreach.
Oh, Lance.
Yeah.
Played with Darren Reid.
Yeah, ended up
years.
playing with Darren Reid. A big shout out to Darren and his wife Linda for naming their kid after me too. Good on you guys. She's going to kill me.
I'm sure that was the first and foremost thing in their mind when they...
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. So, yeah, that was the first band. I think the first show we ever did was at the Parky Hall. I would have been about 14, somewhere around there. Yeah, terrible band.
1986, you joined the Rookies. Who was in that lineup that you joined?
It was still being put together at the time. It was Gary Grant and Tom were putting it together, and they were looking for a drummer, and I went down to audition as the drummer for the band, and did a few songs, and they said, "Yeah, no, we found someone. So, can you play bass?" And I'd never picked up a bass before in my life. I said, yeah. No worries. So
fake it till you make it, love it.
You got it. If you don't know how to do something, just say yes. Learn how to do it after. And so they said, "Oh, we're going to have another jam next week. So bring your bass." Didn't have one. Borrowed a bass, learn a few tunes during the week. I sort of knew the basics of a couple of little things, and they said, "All right, you're hired." And next minute, I'm playing bass with the Rookies, and it was Mal McIntosh on guitar.
Great player.
Yeah, awesome player.
Yeah.
And I just kind of fell into that one. And I remember the first tour we did. We went up to Port Hedland, and I'd never been on the road before. And the deal was Gary Grant had just bought a new, it was like a VB Commodore or a VC Commodore, which is pretty flash back in those days. And it had the pleather seats, no air conditioning, and the five of us in a band going straight up to Port Hedland, middle of summer, and we had to follow the truck, Harry the high note truck, because it had a propensity to break down, and the road crew were in the truck. So we had to follow the truck up, and we did like 80 Ks all the way there, middle of summer, non-stop. Took about 28 hours. That was my introduction to life on the road. I freaking hated it.
And you're still doing it? I'm
still doing it. Still freaking hate it.
So Rookies were a pretty big band. That obviously led to Strawberry Blonde, 1988 to 1999. Who was in that? Because you recorded
89.
88 to 89. You recorded an EP as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Mel's always been quite a prolific songwriter. So it was him and Neville Dixon joined the band as well. Nifty.
We got some funny stories there. Nifty.
But you'd have to edit out the nifty stories.
Yes.
It was in Harlequin Tears for all, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some stories. They top just about everything. But the peep show and anyway.
Yeah. So we did a couple of covers and a couple of nifty songs, a couple of Mel songs, and sort of put that out and did some shows for about a year, and then of course that'll lead up to the next section.
How did the Angels gig come about? Because that was your next thing, 89. Who was in the Angels then? What was Doc like to work with?
How many questions you got there, man?
And the third question, you recorded 3 albums.
Yeah.
You can start with 3 albums. What was Doc like to work with, or who was in the Angels, whichever one?
Or how did I get the gig? Which it was 4 there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, I got the gig. I was a big fan of the Angels when we were doing Strawberry Blonde and the Rookies. We kind of focused on 3 bands. We did Oils, Chisel, and Angels.
Yeah.
So I knew every Angel song back to front, inside out. And anyway, I heard through the grapevine that Jim had left the band or wasn't in the band for whatever reason. And somehow I got hold of Brent Eccles' number, and I rang him up and said, I don't know if you remember me. They jumped up and had a jam with us one night at Rockwell's. Yep. And I said, don't know if you remember me, did this, blah, blah, blah. He said, nah. I said, okay. I said, on audition for the band. I said, know all your stuff back to front, blah, blah, blah. And he's gone, look, we're heading to the States next week to record an album. He said, if you can get your ass to Sydney, then you can come and have a play and see how we go. So it was smack in the middle of the pilot strikes at Ansett.
Right.
There was nothing going down. There was like 1 flight a day leaving. So I rang Ansett and said, I need to get to Sydney. And they said, look, the best we can do is put you on a waiting list. And sure enough, about 3 or 4 hours later, the phone rings and said, your number's come up. on the flight. So now it's like, shit, how do I pay for this? So I had to, back then it was like $1,200 one way from Perth to Sydney, you know.
Yeah.
So I borrowed some money from the folks and went over there, went and had a jam with them the next day. And so, what are we going to play? Long Line, No Secrets, all the stuff that I know. And they said, no, we're writing some new material. So you're just going to jam on what we're writing.
Dogs are talking.
Jesus. These were songs that hadn't even, they've still been written at the time. So I had a play with them and for a couple of hours, and then they said, all right, head outside, we're going to have a chat. And came back in, they said, you got a passport? I said, nah. I said, all right, we'll get you one sorted. We're going to Memphis next week to do the album.
Wow.
So there I was, thrown in the deep end, and yeah.
Mm. So what was Doc like to work with?
Oh, he's an interesting character, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Well,
worked with him.
I wrote some songs up in Seabird with him one time.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting chap.
Yeah, he was interesting. I mean, he kept to himself on the road. I mean, most of the time, you'd either see him on stage or if you had to share a car with him, which was not the best experience you can imagine. Oh my God, yeah, I'm surprised I'm still here, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, a very intelligent character, hell of a front man. I mean, so theatrical. There's not many frontmen that sort of compare to him on a global level. You know, I put him up there with your Jaggers and those sort of guys.
Yeah.
You go and you're just entertained. It's kind of like Angus on the guitar, as Doc was as a vocalist. You know, so
yeah.
Yeah.
And you recorded 3 albums. What were those albums?
Did Beyond Salvation, which is a cracking album.
Was Dogs Are Talking?
That was on that one. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Redback Fever, which is a god awful album, and Left Hand Drive, which was kind of a bit of leftovers of stuff that we'd done over the course of a couple of albums. So yeah.
So did you ever get the call from Al Simpson to join Mag 7?
Not once.
Not once.
Not once. No. Moving on.
Yeah, move along. You sung a TV theme. You sung a TV theme.
Did I?
Well, that's what it says here.
Who wrote that?
It does. It says you
He's done his
sung a
research.
TV theme. Question mark.
No, he sang a TV thing.
Did
It's
it?
true.
Yeah.
I did.
What was it?
I did Simon Townsend's Wonderworld.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah, that was
My
me.
God. Simon Townsend's Wonderworld.
See, you know the words. If you believe. The first one, I think John St. Peter's, I think it was, did the original one, and then they did a revamped version in the 90s with Katrina Roundtree.
Oh.
I thought this is my in to meet Katrina, you know, I'll do it for that reason. So, they got me in and ended up singing on the song, and I was young and stupid, haven't changed much, just old and stupid now. And they said, we can either pay you now or give you, royalties and all that sort of stuff. So I said, just give me the money.
Give me the money now.
And get smashed.
Royalties would have made you.
I was on telly every day for about 10 bloody years. So I could have bought your old place in City Beach.
Yeah. Trig.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. No problem. You came back to Perth to record a solo album, Freewheelin. I remember all that time. You toured that album.
Yeah, we did a bit of stuff over east. Ended up moving back to Sydney a bit and played with a few guys doing that. But yeah, as it is, it's so hard for original artists to get stuff out. Costs a lot of money, and just I gave up on it. No, we back in those days, without the support of the record company and that sort of thing, you just didn't have a hope in hell. I remember one of the guys down at 96 FM took me through and said, look, this is what you're up against as an original artist these days. He said, there's a wall of stuff that gets churned over every week, and the first 5 layers are EMI, Sony, blah, 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 blah. So anybody that's come in as an independent basically doesn't get a look in, So I was going, that's all a bit too bloody hard for me. So,
So you've been in the industry, say, 40 years-ish?
Nearly, yep.
Maybe not quite. So how has it changed? And is it as good as it used to be? Well, what's your take on your tour now?
Yeah.
How's it changed? And
look, it's the beast that we know that we grew up on in the 80s and the 90s. We were lucky to be a part of that, and it was obviously a tail end of a pretty cool wave that we all got to ride. it's a lot of things changed the industry for the worse. I mean, I remember you talking to Joey, and Joey said, they brought in like your drink driving laws, which were pretty lax back in those days.
Yeah.
That changed a lot of things for a lot of people. The advent of free gigs for bands, and the bands get X amount of money for doing a show, all that sort of stuff. I think a couple of big things, that the advent of the internet has been fantastic for one side of things, but for another side of things, it's just made it so difficult for artists to do what we did. I mean, we were playing 4 nights a week, and back in those days, you played to 1,000 people a night. If you weren't getting 1,000 people, you'd sit down and have a power hour and go, "What's going on? We've only got 900 people tonight."
Now you have a power if you don't get 100.
So there's that, but it's also the change in nature of the new generation that's come through. That they didn't grow up on being 18 to 25 or to 30 or whatever, and making that religion to go out to pubs 4 nights a week. That was their meeting point. Now their meeting point is Facebook and getting online and Wi-Fi chatting and all that sort of stuff. So that's changed the parameters, and unfortunately now a lot of the heritage bands are riding a wave of a bit of a comeback for all those people. But those people that are going out to festivals and that sort of stuff now, it's only going to last for so long. This new generation that's coming through with your DJs and, like I say, your online stuff. So it's, unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to get any better.
I think I read something last week about an artist can sell an album for $20, and I think it's 100 hours or 1,000 hours of Spotify play to make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And one album.
Yep.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah. All right.
I mean, it's a great tool for marketing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I predominantly use Facebook to promote a lot of the shows that we do. I mean, I've sold out like shows of 1,000 people just by using Facebook alone. No posters, no radio ads, no nothing. So it has its place to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But it's bloody hard work.
They've just changed all their algorithms as well, haven't they, for all that?
Every bloody week they just.
So if you're not on the ball with that, you can spend a lot of money.
Right up with that.
Yeah. So you became a gun for hire with Richard Clapton, John English, Choirboys. Tell us about those times.
It was a bit later in the day. I wanted to get away from. We did the Perth thing for a while. Obviously, as you know, we were going for 10 years plus, doing the Argent sort of thing. And after a while, I think the itch came back to do a bit of touring rather than playing in the same venues and to the same people all the time, and that sort of thing. So I just sort of reconnected with some old people from back in the past, and then slotted myself into a couple of gigs here and there, and
Because we were Best of British. What year was that? 98 or something like that?
It might have been even earlier than that.
We did our first door gig at the Brighton.
Yep.
And argued about the money up in the room with your girlfriend at the time. What was her name?
I don't know.
Well, she's married to Doug Rose now. Gina.
Gina.
I think we're counting the money on the bed. 5 there, 5 there.
Her name's Honey now.
Yeah, okay, that's right. So we form Our Generation, corporate show band, and it really was a bit of a stepping stone for a lot of other bands to get into that area. I mean, we dressed up, we sort of led the way in that area, I think.
Yeah, but we started out. We had the band. It was a cracking band as well. But we had 3 dancers on there. We had 2 lead singers. And we had Helen playing sax and doing some songs and stuff. So there was
Hi, Helen.
Once we had 9 people on stage at one time, and everybody was doing a costume change over 3 sets. Yeah. So do the maths. That's what 5 costume changes or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was, I think what I enjoyed about that band, especially the early days when we were doing the Cab Lounge, another place where you could go and smoke, and we were smoking on stage while we were playing, and get as
amongst
drunk,
other things,
get as drunk as you can. And it was very much a concert that we put on. You never knew what was going to happen each night. We had all the backdrops and the stage props and all that sort of thing. And I think it kind of lifted the bar to a certain degree when we were doing that, and a few other bands followed suit, which is great. I guess a bit like what Elf did.
Yeah.
In the early days, they come out with the suits and put on a bit of a show, and sort of like took it to that next level. And it was a very Vegas kind of thing, but we were still playing rock and stuff,
Then we pioneered the 3-piece brass section and the crooner, dinner music, and a couple of other people followed suit after that.
Yep.
No, it's not. No,
You're a sexy guy.
So our generation, I think that was like 15 years or 17 years, I can't remember what it was. We'd all had a gut full of each other.
Yeah, somebody kept drinking all the drink rider, so that's it, I quit, I'm out of here.
I remember when we played at the convenience centre, West Coast Eagles, I remember getting a letter saying who pinched all the scotch out of the Johnny Walker room. Anyway, we never played there again.
A letter of apology before we got paid for that one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Sorry, West Coast.
They were the days. So 2013 you got rid of us, you moved to Melbourne to do what?
I moved to Melbourne for a change of scenery. Basically, it's a musical hub for Australia, so I just wanted to get over there and connect with a few people and just it felt like a bit of a rut in Perth. Like I say, we're still doing lots of gigs and making good money and all that sort of stuff, but that's not the be all and end all at the end of the day. I moved there for myself, and then after that, my partner Amanda came over. And
Baby Cakes.
Jesus, here we go.
Baby Cakes?
Yeah.
How are you, Baby Cakes?
She's heard the name, that's the
probably her ringing now. Is it? It is too. Why don't you answer it? Why don't you take the call? Do you want me to take the call? Hey, Baby Cakes, I'm in the middle of interviewing your man. No, it's right now. You're on camera, so when you see this episode, I'm waving to you now. So, okay, bugger off. See you later. See you, Baby Cakes. Bye.
Oh, you'll pay for that.
I will too.
She's Italian, mate. Look
well, I won't get the next gig up in Wheatstone.
I think we're banned from there too. Aren't we?
It's your fault.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so back to Melbourne. So I don't think Melbourne can do without you now, can it? After the last 6 years.
I'm keeping it in business, that's all I'm doing. Did the Melbourne thing, and Amanda came over, and she's a hell of a singer.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, settle down. Jesus, I should put a bloody price up.
She invoices him every week. And he's still, 3 months ago, she sent me a text the other week saying,
So I changed a bunch of hats in that stage. I'm quite comfortable musically to sit in the background now, like we were saying before with the singing. It's not really enjoy being the front man as such anymore. I'd rather be at the back playing bass or playing guitar.
Well, I see the clips that Bloom does. And
it's all her. Nobody else in the
and
band.
you're sort of sitting in the back, like, really unusual, like a stalker. But so you've, like Linda Ronstadt, name some of the, cause you've done lots of shows, you've toured.
Yeah, what we did, Amanda's a great original artist in her own right. She's she's put a couple of songs out. She's writing at the moment with a guy called Rob, who's just had a #1 hit with Dido and all sorts of stuff. So she's got some great material sitting there ready to go. So, and the idea was, she looks a lot like Linda Ronstadt. She's always been hassled to do a Ronstadt show, So the idea that we sort of broached was to introduce her to a broader audience, was to put this show together that people can come to, and at the end of the show, she'd introduce a couple of her original songs. So she'd get a fan base from doing that, and that's worked really, really well. She's been building it over the last couple of years quite phenomenally. So we did that, and then we had Amy Winehouse. So we had an Adele and Amy Winehouse show, and then a Linda Ronstadt and Stevie Nicks show that we've been touring now for a couple of years, and we've just picked up some management for next year, which is going to go absolutely nuts with work all over the shop. Been in New Zealand a few times, so Yeah, I've been sort of driving that bus for the last couple of years behind the scenes, as well as playing in the show, which is, I mean, it's bloody hard work. I do enjoy doing it, but now that we can palm that off to a team of people that do this day in, day out for some big artists, they look after some big name players, and they've obviously seen the talent in her that I saw, and everybody's seen. So that's kind of the next train that we're riding. You know,
great, fantastic. So, I mean, the ACDC with a 30-piece orchestra, a tribute tour. How did that work? I mean, how did that come about?
Pure insanity.
Yes.
I don't know. I the idea was sort of sitting in my head for a couple of years, and I sat down with Kim Siragusa, local keyboard player, legend.
Oh, very much so.
And I had some amazing live tracks that were recorded in Melbourne with an ACDC show that we do occasional gigs at. Sounded phenomenal. I said, I want to hear this with some orchestral sort of stuff going on. So with all these fandangled patches and stuff that he's got. And I came up with some, Kashmir-esque kind of lines to put over Back in Black. And we put it together and we played it, and it was like, wow, that's phenomenal. So I played it to a couple of people, and they've gone, you've got to do that. That's just like, it's never been done before. It's like taking Zeppelin with the orchestral thing. I know ACDC sounds, it's a bit more basic, for want of a better word, but once you start adding these things on top, it just became this monster. So I thought, we'll do a couple of shows. I reached out to Simon Wright, who obviously played in ACDC. And he said, mate, let's do it. So, it was a long time in the making, and we did some shows last year. And that one's sitting on the back burner for now. We were supposed to be going to the UK and Europe at the end of this year. We had a big promoter, and as is the industry, these things happen. And, we ended up pulling the show because of contractual stuff and all that. And, we'll bide our time with that one.
You're still packing houses out with Bond, but not forgotten.
Bond, but not forgotten. Yeah, we've been doing that. This year was our 9th year.
Yep.
And every year we bring in special guest singers and guitarists and all sorts of stuff. And that one's a labour of love. We only do it once a year.
You bring in special guest guitar players as well, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, would you play guitar now? Okay.
Anyone can play.
Seems to be the way. So 9 years doing that one. Yeah, special event, something to look forward to every year. And next year, of course, is the 40th anniversary of Back in Black, which is not a bad album. Yeah, I've got to say, it's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Mate, that band's going to go places.
Times.
Yeah. We've got a massive lineup for that next year. So looking forward to that.
So I remember at my 50th birthday.
Do you?
Intrigue, not City Beach. I do remember. No, I remember that night Olivia was having a baby, and a baby you called Angus.
She did.
Did she call him Angus?
Yeah, that was already. I might have planted the seed.
So I remember it being a very emotional night that night, and it was January the 24th because it was 2 days after my birthday, so that's Angus's birthday, obviously. So tell me about Angus and your relationship.
We might have to come back to that one, mate.
That's great, mate.
He's my best buddy.
Yeah, good stuff. We all need someone to love, I tell you. He's a beauty too, isn't he? You know?
He's a cracker.
So, new project, well, I'll get away from that. The new project's coming up. Can you talk about those, or is it still top secret?
Well, for next year, we've still got the Linda Stevie show and the Adele Amy show and the Bond thing for next year and the year after. There is another show that's going to come out that we're just in the process of putting all the little end bits and pieces before it goes bang, that we broached with a management company in Sydney, and they've gone, that's a great idea. So, can't say anything yet, but it's going to be... It's going to be good as long as I learn all the songs properly.
So I won't tell anyone what it is, okay?
No, shh.
So the last question I have here is, do you miss Tom tapping? Is that a serious question, Al?
That wasn't meant for him, that was the next guest.
Oh, okay.
That was short.
Oh.
For Curtin Radio.
Okay.
Who?
Let's move sideways a bit, okay? Other jobs throughout your life.
That's it.
Come on, I remember when Cosmic employed you for 2 weeks.
Oh, it was 1 week. I didn't really do much, did I? I worked at McDonald's.
No, we know you didn't.
Spent most of the time looking for the bar. Did Macca's, as you do. Didn't like Macca's because the floor manager, they were pretty strict on everything, so you couldn't sneak any food or anything like that. They watch you like a hawk at all times. But there was a place that I did break out called Chicken World when I was 14 or something like that. And I probably can't say what went on back at house there, but I wouldn't eat there. if I wouldn't. Just don't.
Is Chicken World still around?
No,
can we get sued for this? No?
It's not in existence anymore. But back at me, oh, crikey.
Okay.
Yeah, every time I go for a drive-through, I think, should I be doing this?
Unreal. So,
yeah, that's about it, I think.
silly question. Favourite band of all time?
Really? You're going to go there?
Mm.
Danny Minogue.
You just love her, don't you?
Yeah, she's great. What's not to love? Look at those legs.
Oh, my God.
Well, I suppose we'll have to go with ACDC then. won't
Okay,
we?
we'll go with
Let's do
ACDC.
that.
So, if you were stranded on a deserted island,
Yep.
you could only take one album with you.
Mm.
What album would that be?
It's easy. Power Age.
Yeah.
Best album in the entire history of music. I'm sure you'll disagree with me, Mark, but
It's funny because I asked that question to 102 previous guests, and
nobody else has said that.
well, no one said that, but no one said what they liked that quickly. They've gone, oh, you know, and can I take this one and that one? No, you can only take one.
Mm. No, that one will do me.
Yep,
That's fine.
Cool, fantastic.
Yep.
Favourite TV show growing up?
Debbie Does Dallas. It wasn't really a show. It was more of a movie, wasn't it? Actually, the Professionals.
The Professionals.
Yeah.
Because of
Bodie and Doyle.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And what was that girl? She was gorgeous.
In the Professionals, no, you're thinking
I'm
of
thinking of
the
Purdy.
Avengers.
Purdy.
Emma Peel.
Oh, yeah. Whoops, sorry, Jack. So, what unfulfilled ambitions do you have? Is there anything that's unfulfilled?
Oh, playing with ACDC. I suppose that would have been the pinnacle. Oh, it's that close. I don't know. I've been lucky. I've done a lot of things that I'm thankful for. I can't really say that there's anything that I've missed out on. I've met a lot of girls, I've drank a lot, played a lot of cool music. Just that rock and roll dream that all the kids want to do. That's what
I've seen
kids
you
get in
do
the
it.
bands for.
I've seen you do a lot of things that I'm not thankful for.
Yeah, we can't talk about those here either, can we? Yeah.
Do you collect anything, James?
I've had crabs before. Don't get them.
You didn't get them in Macy's in Melbourne. No, what was it? Yeah, Macy's in Melbourne, I think.
Can I?
They were running around there like crazy.
It's an interesting gift. Typical muso, guitars and
Yeah.
amps. Got a bunch of those sitting around. Some I've actually forgotten half the bloody guitars that I've got. I normally lend them to friends and stuff and say, "Oh, here you go, have a play with that." And 2 years later or something, I'm sure I had a SG floating around somewhere. But no, nothing in particular.
The only time I ever lent a guitar to anyone was the Murphy brothers. Remember we were playing at the casino, and 3 little guys came in and said, "Oh, we don't have a guitar." And Nigel was going, "Don't give me a guitar." And
Who that would have been Chris.
Chris and Courtney and
Chris always forgetting his guitar. Isn't he?
yeah,
Shocking.
you can't remember it. Anyway,
Well, he forgot his guitar. He can't remember anything.
Can't remember.
Oh, yeah, Chris. God bless him.
So, what would you put on your gravestone, James?
Don't wake me up before 10.
Is there something we don't know about James Morley that you would like to share with our audience, or is it forbidden fruit?
I'm taller than I look. No, you pretty much know everything, mate. You've known me for 56 years now.
Yeah, but I can't talk about 90% of it.
No, we can't, can we? No, we'll leave it at that then, shall we?
Mate, so nice to have you in here.
Finally got here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Really appreciate you spending some time with us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
And someone I've always wanted to interview, but wasn't as raucous as I thought it might be. But
Oh, look, we did have the discussion. Should I hold back a bit? So we won't be naming names anything in particular. But
Yeah. Well, at least we don't have to edit like we did for Simo. You know?
yeah, well, the one question I have got for Simo is when are you guys doing a gig with Todd? And that's a wrap.
Well, it is. Thanks for joining us. James Morley, thanks for coming in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
See you guys.
I don't need a license, people. Tell me what to do. At ProCopy, we can transfer audio to CD, make CD, DVD and Blu-ray copies, transfer video to DVD, Blu-ray or HD, digitise slides and photos and supply custom USBs. You can see more details at procopy.com.au or call us on 08 9375 3902 for more information.